What I wouldn't give for one more day, just one more day with you, so you and I can do all those things, all the things that we meant to do before heaven came and took you away. I wish God would let you stay. So until I see you again, just know I'll be right here, waiting on you, my friend. And just so we are clear, I'll say so long for now, but know I'll always be around, right where I've always been, until I see you again. Days I can't believe you're gone, and today's one of those days. Your memory holds on tight with every move, and with every breath I take, I still hear your laugh when I close my eyes, as I try to hide the pain behind my smile. So until I see you again, just know I'll be right here, waiting on you, my friend. And just so we are clear, I'll say so long for now, but know I'll always be around, right where I've always been, until I see you again. I'll be right here, waiting on you, my friend. And just so we are clear, I'll say so long for now, but know I'll always be around, right where I've always been, until I see you again. What I wouldn't give for one more day, just one more day with you.
All right. Sorry, the song got me a little choked up. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful world of ours. This is Metaphysical Meetup with the Intuitive Prospector. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, a person who is a well-versed, educated explorer, traveler, curiosity seeker, student of life, everything from death and dying to living the purposeful life, to metaphysics, to spirituality, to science, to everything in between, pseudoscience, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, extra-dimensional beings, anything that is of curiosity in our world. And I've been doing this for many years now, and I come on Fridays to help you explore, through mind, body, and spirit, to discover the diamond within, and to discover the many hidden gems that are all around us, and maybe just some of the things that life throws at our way. As you know, that's my wrecking ball right there with Gumby holding on, because life happens. Life doesn't ask us what we want; it just happens. So that song is from Sleeping Lion, "Until I See You Again" remix, and the opening song. Let's see if I can go back. This is music that is copyright free, trademark free. So I always call out the artist for if you like the song, you can go check them out. These are all pre-approved songs that I have through my shows, through my podcast that Meta has already pre-approved, so there's no copyright or infringements or anything like that. And so I like to give shout outs to those people. So that one was When I See You Again by Sleeping Lion, and then the other one was Shine by Tony Dark Eyes. That was the opening song, Shine by Mr. Tony Dark Eyes. That I haven't played him before. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. It is January here. It is my nose is itchy. Sorry. It usually means that the spirit world is playing with my face when I get these vibes going on. But today's the 23rd, and it's always a hard day for me. January is always a hard month for me. It used to be. When you work on yourself, I always say as alchemists, we don't fear the darkness. We actually study the darkness to understand ourselves better, both the dark and the light of who we are as humans. And today, the 23rd, is always a date that will live with me forever. It's the date that I got a phone call mid-afternoon to be told that my brother had been murdered. And so that date, if there's certain dates in your life that live in infamy, I always think of the speech from Franklin D. Roosevelt when we were attacked by, at Pearl Harbor on December 7th. It's a date that lives in infamy. January 5th and January 23rd are two dates in my journey that will live with me until I see you again, until I meet up with them again. And so it was on this date 26 years ago today that my little brother was taken from us and had transferred to the what I now call the spirit world, the other side. Some of you may call it the afterlife, heaven. Some of you may not believe in that, and that's okay too. But it's something that helped me set on a path of deeper exploration for who I am, my own life. When you lose both your brothers in the span of 1 month, January 5th and January 23rd, and the diagnosis and the murder happened within the same week, literally 3 days apart from each other. My older brother, brain cancer, my younger brother was murdered. And so those events change your thinking, your learned behavior, even your belief systems. And so 26 years ago is when my journey at the age of, I think I was 27 then, would then be like, oh, okay, what is happening? We didn't ask for this. But it's a day to remember, and that I will see you again. We always talk about gone but not forgotten, or never forgotten, for at least those of us that are alive, to keep their memory alive. And it's just always a difficult day because it brings up so many different emotions. And that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. I am going to be talking about Two Wolves, a story that I want to share with you. And then we're going to actually do a nice meditation in this journey. So if you're new to the show, please put in the comments where you're from, your name. Lovely to give you a big shout out. Say hello, welcome to the community. Good morning to Kara, who's on today, following along with us. And it's an interactive show. So if you have questions, sometimes I do live readings. What I do look for, however, is your subscribers badge next to you. So if you're part of my Diamonds Hub subscribers here on Facebook Live, you can click on that subscribe button. It's less than 2 cups of coffee a month. So I'm going to grab my coffee, which made me a nice little latte, little vanilla latte. So cheers to my little brother, Michael, who is with us in spirit, but also in life. And if you want to get on the Diamonds Hub, it's a great way to have interactions with me in the work that I do, get access to my shows, my podcasts, Diamonds Day, which is the first Friday of every month, where you can actually have Q&A, and there's 2 time sessions. You want to check those out on the first Friday of every month. So I guess we'll be up next for February 6th will be the next Friday, and it's via this platform that you can come in and have a Q&A. And you can ask me anything from, what's on your heart, if you're looking for just some grounding, some balance, some self-healing, some meditations, maybe it's a psychic reading, maybe it's a card reading, maybe it's an intuitive reading, maybe it's mediumship, and we want to try to connect with somebody. I'm always happy to do that. I always remind people as a psychic and a medium, those are 2 different facilities, 2 different modalities of experience and education and mentorship. That I'm always happy to do that, but I work for them. They do not work for me. And so it's what's needed, not what is wanted, but we can always give it a go. That's why I always say, let's go prospecting for the diamond within and the many hidden gems that are all around us. You can also get on my Patreon Prospectors page. I will I will put that link if you are interested, or you can just go right here to marclainhart.com and click on the subscription events page where the store is, and you can get all sorts of stuff from my lavender love to cool t-shirts like this that I wear that you get a discount on, to booking and reading. So let's get to over to the Patreon page. I'll plug that in. And again, the Diamond Step, if you scroll up, there's usually hit the subscribe button. You can do that. So hi, Tara. Good to see you. Again, you can see two of my subscribers. They have badges next to their name. And usually at the end of my show, I'll do live readings if I have time. And then, of course, you can always check over on my YouTube channel where we have a lot of different videos, and my podcasts, and these shows are always stored over there on the Intuitive Prospector YouTube channel as well. So shall we do some prospecting together and do some storytelling and do some I don't know, exploration of the soul and of the mind. And I'm just trying to get my Patreon page over for you, if I can. Facebook Live. There's the show. Make sure we turn the volume down. Put a comment in. Good morning to my team. I do have people behind the scenes that make sure that we're keeping this a positive page. There's so much divide and so much political rhetoric and so much division and opinions behind keyboards. I'm not a big fan of social media anymore. Good morning to my team. Let's see. Turn that speaker down. Lost my Zoom feed here. Apologize. Where did you go, Zoom? Bear with me. I lost my screen. I'm a one-man band here, so. But good morning to my team. While I'm still trying to pull up the feed. Wherever you went, Zoom. There we go. Thank you to my team, because we try to keep social media, any platforms that I'm associated with, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok. I always try to keep positivity, platforms that are encouraging, motivating, uplifting, maybe have you think outside the box. That's who I am, and that's what I'm about. I realized years ago, kind of off track here, but years ago when I took a Myers-Briggs profile test, when I used to, back in the days in a former life when I worked for the federal government, this is your Myers-Briggs type indicator. And when I took it the first time, I didn't answer the questions truthfully. And part of the journey is to know thyself, right? This is why we're here, life, learn it from experience. And then the next time, so I took this back in April 22nd, the day after my birthday, 2014. And the profile came back as what's called an ENFP, an extrovert, an intuition, a feeling, and a perceiving. And believe it or not, the actual indicator is known as the inspirer. And so that's something that, there's 16 different personality types that you can take. And I always say, if you really want to get to know yourself, do like a DISC profile, do like a Myers-Briggs profile, because it really does help you understand who you are and your place in this world. And so I became known as an ENFP on my profile, also known as the Inspirer. And that's fitting because my podcast is called Inspired Living. And that's a syndicated podcast. You can get us wherever you listen to podcasts at. We're streaming through all major platforms. We're going into our 11th season. And we have some amazing guests. We have an amazing guest. We'll be live on the air next Wednesday. Every other week, we're on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month. And then there's encore shows that we'll play throughout the month that you can go listen to through Om Times. We are in the works of trying to have the show become part of the Om Times television network. So it would broadcast, and the guests I would be on just like I am now, broadcasting, but have my guests split screen and we'd have a talk, and then that would go to the podcast format, which is just audio. But we are working on that. There's new content coming, new promos coming. My producer is working on that. So hopefully within the next few weeks or the next month, so we can make that transition to Om Times Television, which is part of the Om Times Radio Network, Om Times Magazine Network, and somebody I've been affiliated with for 11 seasons now, and I love it. But that to know thyself is then sets off events of other things I do, like Inspired Living, where I always talk about be inspired, inspire others, inspire before we expire. And a lot of my shows are based on that format, because I'm not going to be here forever. And I know that. And death is not the end. Death is not to be feared. Death is not to be scared of. It is actually about living for today in the present moment. And so just like today, 26 years ago, when I got the phone call that changed my life forever, because I'd never been associated. In a previous life, when I was in the U.S. Coast Guard and a first responder as a firefighter EMT, I went to murder scenes. I recovered bodies. I did that. I went to airplane crashes and saw a lot of tragedy professionally, but it had never impacted my life personally. And then, of course, my brother was murdered for, of all things, marijuana. He had plants. He was growing plants on the east side of Washington State, and somebody wanted his plants, and there was a disagreement on a Sunday afternoon, broad daylight, and they shot and killed him. And 5 times execution, horrible way to transition to the other side. But now today, at least here in the United States, most over 3/4 of the states in all 50 states are marijuana, cannabis is legalized. It's fully legal here in Washington State. So he was killed for something that eventually would become legal, right? But that was his journey, right? That was his choice. That was his free will. But we can, I can definitely honor him and thank him for putting me on this path, because I wouldn't be here with you today if that event and my brother's brain cancer 3 days later, because it would be 3 days later after this date that my brother would be diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And so literally in a span of 3 days, I became the remaining brother, and both my brothers move on to the spirit world. So I do want to give a shout out to Michael, my little brother, and of course, Todd, my older brother, who are on the other side, watching this from the other side, and just a big part of the journey of who I am today and why I do what I do. I call it the trauma and the tragedy, the TNT that blew up my life, but also got me exploring, discovering, to know thyself, to go deeper in the journey. And like I said, as an alchemist, I don't fear the darkness anymore. I actually study it to understand the role. And that's going to lead me into today's story. So everybody take a nice deep breath with me. Take another nice deep breath and exhale. There's actually a scientific metaphysical construct based on breath. And I believe it so much, it's tattooed right here on my arm as a reminder. This is one of the oldest Sanskrits known to man, and it's based on the breath that we take in. And if you take 2 deep breaths simultaneously, what that does is that there's a lot of things that happen to the nervous system, the adrenals, your mind, your auric field, your energy. And by taking that deep breath in, it just helps you to move into the present moment. It helps you to become aware of your surroundings. And the one story that I want to share with you today, because I love, if you follow my journey, you follow my work, you follow my articles, you got my book, you follow my podcast, you know that I talk about the language of spirit. It's something that I have learned along the way through my TNT 26 years ago when my brother was killed. It wouldn't be until years later that I really started to understand and study metaphysics and meditation and visualizations and manifestations. Actually, I was here at the University of Washington studying that in sports medicine when that door unlocked for me. So I actually tell people that I first started off in college to learn how to do this. But over the course of time, just like learning a different language, like I speak 3 languages now that I've been learning. So I speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. I'm also learning the game of chess. But I'm also have learned along these last 2 decades plus of learning the language of spirit. And what I always talk about, the language of spirit, is signs, symbols, synergies, and synchronicities, right? So let's do something on Zoom. I haven't done this in a while. Let's see if it tracks. I did this the other night. And you should see, oh, I didn't hold long enough. Oh, there we go, fireworks. And so you get fireworks going. So the language of spirit, and it's looking for signs, symbols, synergies, and synchronicities, which many gurus, from Carl Sagan to Hawkins to Einstein to Nikola Tesla, always talked about energy, frequency, vibration, and coincidence and synchronicities being God's way of remaining anonymous. Now, some of you watching this show, maybe for the first time, you're not believers in God or spirituality. That's fine. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. It's your journey. It's your free will. It's your choice. But for me, I always had a problem with the aspect of what God is, because around the planet, there's over 5,000 different religions, and that means that there could be 5,000 different gods. And for me, it was very hard to correlate how a perfect God would create a being in his perfect image, but then judge us for being imperfect and sinning. It never squared for me, right? And what I tell people, because as a medium, I know that there's an other side. I know that the energy in our heart, from a scientific standpoint, from an anatomy and physiology standpoint, I know the energy that makes my heart go, the God spark, or the energy within. The energy has to move by the laws of physics. And so I know that energy has to move on to its source. It just can't cease to exist, because that's how we understand mathematics and physics and science and spirituality that blend together. But as the energy moves on, I always equate God to being this canvas, a blanket that we throw over to give shape of this thing that we just don't necessarily can understand or explain. And so God is this blanket that we throw over something that's not seen, that gives its form and gives a shape that we can then talk about and put a label to. However, in my journey and some of my darkest days, God was not present. God was not there during this time, 26 years ago, when I was, I'm sure the presence of the Spirit of God, whatever or whoever God is, was around me and comforting me, but it just felt very lonely. And then 3 days later, with my older brother being diagnosed and only having a few days to live with his brain cancer called glioblastoma, it was a very lonely, dark time that I did not become aware of the presence of God. You don't usually get a big booming voice from the sky. Mark, I am here. And why is it always a man, right? I was raised in one of the religions that I was raised in, not by choice, but because my parents and their parents, just part of the learned behavior, the DNA that's passed on to us, and the environment which we're born into. There wasn't a lot of divine feminine. And and as I've gone deeper down the rabbit hole of spirituality and metaphysics, I've actually come to realize that the divinity of a God would be more of the divine feminine than it would be the masculine. And that's my own personal experience through my near-death experience, my out-of-body experience, working with deep plant medicines. Deep plant medicines, it's always been feminine based. And in the religion that I was raised in, there's hardly any women that are, classified as saints. There's a lot of men that were classified as saints, but very, maybe one, Mother Mary, maybe, but so it was eye opening to me, is what I'm trying to say. And so, hi Jamie, hi Nancy, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So in this format, in this show, you are to find out what God is, but I teach the language of spirit, and I always say that we have three eyes: two to look, one to see. And it's when this one opens up, and there's a lot of details that we go into based on the brow chakra, the third eye. It's called the third eye because deep in the brain right here, there's a gland called the pineal gland, and it's shaped like an almond. It actually has fluid around it like a cornea, and it's actually protected because it's one of the most attacked glands in the brain, and it actually uses most of the blood flow from the aorta goes up to our brain, the brain and the heart, right, the connection. And this uses a lot of blood flow. Some of you may know the pineal gland as also the melatonin regulator. It regulates our dreams and melatonin. So very ancient. It looks like a pine cone when it's closed. And for those of you that have an open pineal gland, it looks more like an open pine cone. It can open and close based on your experiences. And there's little celias of hair on the pineal gland that can pick up electricity and signals and vibrations. So when we dive deep into the third eye, that's why you have three eyes, two to look, one to see, right? And when you start to see, you're going to see things that other people won't see. And when they don't see it, then they may classify you as crazy or lunatic or insane, or you're hearing voices. But there's a lot of things that we've learned over time that when somebody's having a spiritual awakening, we may also call that a mental health crisis. Many times in past cultures, people, especially like the indigenous Native Americans, would surround them for their spiritual quest and hold them in community. But as time went on, and ignorance carried on, and power and control carried on, then it's like, oh, well, you're insane. Let's put you in an insane ward and let you waste away, right? The reason I'm saying that is because this current administration wants to bring insane asylums back, and that whole, which we know from history and science that that's not the right path, but I'm not the one in charge, right? I can't control that. But maybe you're seeing things and hearing things and knowing things that other people won't resonate with. That's where you start to look for your community of like-minded. That's where you start to look for your tribe, your collective, people like myself that have experienced that and can help you through this. Because some people in life will call me crazy. I'm okay with that. And other people call me for advice and consulting. I'm okay with that as well. But it comes down to the story that I want to share with you today, and the language of spirit, the signs, the symbols, the synergy. And the synergy is who you are and the energy that you blend all around you. Everything from these glasses to this cup of coffee is energy. Literally. And so when you start to synergize, when you start to synergy together, you're connecting with energies that are all around you. And so the language of spirit over time will communicate to you those coincidences, those synchronicities, those signs and those symbols and the synergy. And maybe you find I got stacks of dimes off camera here because I find dimes that trigger my mind to think of my brothers. Now, somebody dropped it most likely, or did they? But it triggers my mind to think on them. Just like today, I'm thinking about my little brother who moved to the spirit world 26 years ago, right? And so when you start to see a pattern of three, that's the communication. That is the language of spirit of how they're communicating. Because again, if you get a big booming voice from the sky, I would love to talk with you. I've been doing this a long time, and I have very rarely actually heard a big booming voice from the sky. Or a burning bush. There's different scriptures out there, different stories of people having interactions, and that's fine. But unless you've had the interaction yourself, you may then move to judgment and say, "Oh, that was a hallucination," or "That person's crazy." But when you have the experience yourself, you're not crazy. You know that you've experienced something bigger, more loving, higher intelligence than yourself. And since then, I have had several that equate to who I am today and what I share with you on this show. So again, if you're new to the show, type in where you're from. Let us know where you're coming in from, like Nancy and Jamie. Let us know where you're coming in from. If you're watching behind the scenes, that's fine too. I'd love to give you a shout out and say hello and make that community and that connection, if you will. And so the story I want to share with you today is called The Two Wolves. And some of you may know it from, I know that there's a Cherokee story in the indigenous cultures. The Cherokee told the story about the two wolves. But what I did is I put together a story of my own to kind of equate my own journey of the two wolves. And the reason I'm telling you about the two wolves today and some of the things that you can choose to do on your journey of working with the two wolves, because we all have two wolves. Some of you may know the angel and the devil on each shoulder, right? But internally, there's two wolves. And on what's today? Today's Friday. We went to a Broadway show. We like to do our date nights. And so we went to the new Neil Diamond that came in called A Beautiful Noise. It's on the story of Neil Diamond. If you don't know who Neil Diamond is, I'm sorry, I'm dating myself. But Neil Diamond, most people know who Elvis Presley is. Neil Diamond actually outsold more records than the Beatles and Elvis Presley. That's how he is known. And he was known as a songwriter who didn't want to be out in front of the crowds and be doing, the fame and the fortune of that. He's kind of like Billy Joel. Billy Joel was the same way, a songwriter who became famous. Bruno Mars is the current somebody that you would know that started out as a songwriter and then became Bruno Mars, right? So Neil Diamond, this is his backstory and his musical, and it actually starts in a therapy session. I thought it was actually brilliant. And then they correlate his music, including Sweet Caroline, and a lot of show interaction, which was a lot of fun. And we decided to take a wine with us because we usually go to a famous steakhouse, which is just across the street, Ruth Chris, some of you know it. So we go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and we get a meal, bring a bottle of wine, and then we go to the show. And I didn't think of anything of a message of the spirit of language coming in. And so the bottle, I went into our cellar, and we have a pretty good cellar, and I did a blind pull. And the blind pull that I pulled was one of the wines that my wife loves. So the singer Pink makes her own wine called Two Wolves. And so I actually pulled a Syrah and a Cab, and I was like, I'm going to go with the Cab. So it's on the label, it's two wolves that are actually howling at each other, and it's called Two Wolves Wine. And it's, if you know the artist Pink, the singer and songwriter, it's her wine out of California. So I pulled it. I was like, oh, well, Jen will love this. And so we went and had a bottle of wine and a nice steak dinner. And the wine was really good. And we were, just talking about two wolves, not thinking anything of it. Go to the play, and in the story, within a matter of 2 hours, they're talking about the two wolves in therapy. I was like, oh, that's interesting that we just had two wolves wine. I mean, what are the chances that you're going to have two wolves wine and then go see a show and they're going to talk about two wolves within the therapy, right? So I found that to be there's our pattern. There's the language of spirit that's starting to take form. If you're paying attention, right? Awareness is the greatest agent for change. So when you're paying attention, you're like, oh, two wolves wine. Okay. Two wolves comes up in the concept of the play. Then we get home and we have on our TV, we have what's called the frame. So there's art that can come through the frame. If you turn the TV off, then it becomes a piece of art, right? And on the frame, when we got home, guess what was on the screen? Two wolves in the winter walking. It was a still shot, but it was two wolves in the winter walking in the snow. And I said, there's your third sign. And that is usually when it comes in threes, that is the communication. One, not necessarily two, oh, that's coincidence or synchronicity, but three, that is, if you're paying attention, that is the universe, the spirit world, and those that reside there talking to you, trying to send you messages that you need to figure out which wolf, what's going on in your current journey. So the story that I wrote goes like this. Once upon a time, in a serene village nestled between towering mountains, lived an old man, known for his wisdom. Villagers often sought his counsel, especially when faced with life's dilemmas. One day, a young boy approached him, troubled by his inner struggles. The old man smiled gently and began to share a story. Quote, inside each of us, there are two wolves battling for dominance. One wolf embodies negativity, anger, envy, regret, and fear. The other wolf represents positivity, joy, love, hope, compassion, and kindness. This internal struggle defines our actions and our perceptions, end quote. The boy, intrigued, asked, well, which wolf wins? The old man replied, the one you feed. So let's talk about understanding the wolves, because we all have those days where we want to be inspirational and uplifting, encouraging. But then there's those days where I wake up and I see the world, I see what humans are doing to one another, I see the politics, I see the war, and I move into that other wolf, which is, negativity, and it's based on anger, and it's based on fear. But then I go, no, I'm choosing to feed that wolf, and I'm not going to feed that wolf. And fear for me, when I find myself moving into a fear-based thought process, fear becomes false evidence appearing real, fear. And I always change that and say, you know what? Face everything and rise. That's what fear becomes for me. Because again, as an alchemist, I used to fear the darkness. I used to fear the dark side of who I am. And we all have a good side and we all have a dark side, whether, you want to admit that or not. But that dark side I used to fear. And now as an alchemist, I no longer fear it. I study it, because that is to know thyself. That's to become authentic. That's to become unique. Maybe that's to become weird. That's okay, because you have a depth of your soul that you're learning. And so understanding the wolves, to become aware of which wolf you are, consider these for tips or recommendations in the Metaphysical Meetup today. Self-reflection. Take each time to take each day to reflect on your thoughts and feelings, and ask yourself, what emotions, what thoughts dominate today? Where are my emotions? I could, a prime example is, 26 years ago, my brother was murdered. So I could actually put my thoughts and emotions back into that wolf of anger and regret and the what if world. Or I can choose the other positive wolf in me and self-reflect and say, hey, brother, I know you're here. I know that you're not here in the physical form, but I know that you're still here, part of love, the memories that we shared, the last song we sang together, which in karaoke was Born to Be Wild. That's the last time I saw my brother. It's actually the last time all three of us brothers were together was at karaoke night. And then just a few months later, this all occurred. It's, am I focusing on the negative aspects of my life, or am I focusing on the positive aspects of my life? That's an example of self-reflection and choosing between the two wolves. I choose the positive wolf, the things that I remember, and I can do things that I remind me of my brother and live for my brothers, versus it's happening to me as a victim, versus it's happening for me as a way to grow and live and appreciate life in the present moment even much more. Another thing is mindfulness practices. Mindfulness practices are, engage in activities such as meditation, deep breaths, just like we did. You do that, you'll feel an instant reaction. There's a lot of different deep breaths meditation. The two breath meditations I love that I did this morning, I do some of my own Qi Gong, which is life force energy. Qi is your life force. Gong is the study of. It's the mother of Tai Chi, which would also be a cousin to yoga, which would be a cousin to Pilates. Movement energy, right? Qi Gong, waking up your life force energy. I also work with Soma, S-O-M-A, which is a way to get into a state of hypoxia to help with self-healing and meditation and mindful thoughts. But I also use Wim Hof breath work, which I did this morning when I took a cold ash shower, because there's a lot of cold therapy things that can help to help with your health of your body and your mind. And Wim Hof is another breath technique that I work with. So when you're practicing mindfulness activities and which wolf I'm going to feed, engage in these. meditations, qigong, cold showers, deep breath. And these practices help you, at least they help me, so that's why I'm sharing it with you today, to notice your thoughts without judgment. It also helps you to identify patterns that lead toward the path of the negative wolf or lead towards the path of the positive wolf. And so that's where I can be like, oh, practice the pause, take a time out. Okay, which wolf am I feeding today? And this goes back to the Sunday communication through the language of spirit, where the three wolves popped up: the wine, the play, and the screenshot when we got home, right? That's what got me thinking, and a reminder. And that's how the language of spirit works. And that's how something talks to you and communicates to you, because it's not just the vibration off a vocal cord, y'all. This is very primitive. If you start to evolve and grow and transform and become ascended in the alchemy of who you are, you realize you have a lot of gifts and abilities. We call them the clairs, and they're in conjunction with your five senses: see it, taste it, touch it, hear it, smell it. Clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairfactory, clairgustance, clairknowing. These clairs are also part of your spiritual auric field and part of your spiritual journey. And so journaling I have found to be very, very beneficial. There's one journal right here. I have a journal to finish, and then I'm going to start in my second journal right here. This one's from Portugal. This is a cork one. I haven't broke it out yet. That's on deck. Where is my journal? Put it somewhere because I don't have. Oh, here it is. So I'm about to finish. Well, here. Journaling is important, and I'll show you real time. This journal is a journal based on art. So I'm not a very good artist, but I'm striving. I'm trying to get there. And so we do a lot of different art journaling. Let's see. Got some stuff stuck in here. Okay. So this is an example of journaling, but this is an art journal. These are things that we practice in my development group, my collective. And so that's what this journal is dedicated to. Okay. The other journal that I was just talking about is my life journal. And this is where journaling can really help you to self-reflect and to guide you, because you're now putting your thoughts to paper, and now you're bringing that into a reality, which helps you to manifest. So here's my other journal that's almost complete. I only have 2 more pages to do. Right? There's a lot in here. This will be my second completed journal to date. And then I have a dream journal. This is where I actually get up and I write in my dream journal. So as you can see, I have a lot of different journals around me. One that's ready to go, one that I'm ready to finish, one that's a dream journal, one that's an art journal. And by journaling, when you write down your thoughts and feelings regularly, this can help you to uncover reoccurring themes. That's what I found to be very true in your mindset, but also recognize when you're feeding the negative wolf by journaling. It really does bring to light on paper, what wolf are you feeding? And it's your choice, right? It's free will and choice. No one's going to tell you which wolf to feed, but I'm sure you could relate to certain people, family, friends, coworkers that are always feeding that negative wolf. I always go back to a gentleman that I was in the Coast Guard with before I got out, my last duty station here in Seattle, Agency Navigation Team. Petty Officer Pugh was his last name, P-U-G-H. And this guy was one of the most negative gentlemen I've ever come across. And we'd always, we joke about the glass being half full or the glass being half empty. And he would say, well, damn it, I never even got a glass. I mean, everything was just, doom and gloom, negativity. And it was just like, dude, that's just not, no judgment or opinion, but I don't choose to be around that. You know what I'm talking about. There are people in our lives that have that ego, or that, who was the donkey in Winnie the Pooh? That was just always somebody. Can you post a comment? I'm trying to think of the donkey, the Eeyore. Is it Eeyore? No. In Winnie the Pooh, because Winnie the Pooh is a great cartoon, and that's about negativity and positivity and which wolf are you feeding, right? With Winnie the Pooh. And so, when you practice, journaling, it recognizes which wolf you're feeding, and, surround yourself. Where I'm going with this is surround yourself with positive people. Sometimes you have to set up barriers or set up distance from even the people you love. And you can always love people from a distance, and you can always be kind. But sometimes you have to protect your peace because of that negative vibration, that negative thought pattern that does embrace you, right? We do embrace, people are portals and we embrace one another, whether we're connecting energetically, vocally, mindfully, emotionally, sexually. And so people are portals. So I've become very mindful of the people. And I've even had to, over the years of my own growth and struggles and transformation and ascension, I've had to end relationships, including friends, because I just don't choose to be around that type of negativity. And there was a few people in my life that were just always feeding that negative wolf. And that's fine. And again, I can always love them from a distance, right? And I hope that they're doing well in life and living in their best healthy life. That's what I wish upon them, right? But when you start to surround yourself in that positive aspect, like my podcast is called Inspired Living. And I have guests on that have struggled at great depth, have lost so much, but yet find a way to stay positive and inspiring. And that's why they come on my show. The guy coming on this week or next week is, I got his book right here. John Perkis. He's going to be a returning guest. He's got a new book out. This is the book he had sent to me. We did his show a couple seasons ago, but it's Learning to Let Go. Oh, isn't that funny how there's two messages right there? Maybe your message today is learning to let go. Or as Buddha reminds us, you need to let that shit go, right? It's a guided journal. So this is another journal that I have right off camera because we're going to probably talk about this on the podcast. But a guided journal, drop everything that's holding you back, right? So this is John's book that we talked about on one episode of Inspired Living. He'll be back on Wednesday coming in from the UK to talk about his new book. So I'm excited to talk to him on his new journey. And again, bringing that inspiration into your reality, into your environment, into your energy. But when you are, Eeyore, thank you. Thank you, Sasspress. I like the name, Sasspress. That's awesome. Sasspress. Hi, Carolyn. Miss C, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. And so when you are surrounding yourself with positivity, you can also read inspirational books like what I just talked about, podcasts like Inspired Living. Again, the podcast we've been on for 11 seasons, and we are now recognized by several sources, million podcasts, FeedSpot. We've been recognized as a best spiritual, a best inspirational, and now a best introspective podcast to listen to because of the messages that we bring out. And again, you can get the Inspired Living wherever you listen to podcasts, including through your Alexa or Echo, if you have one of those, or through YouTube or through Audible as well. And so when you surround yourself with these people, you're going to foster growth in who you are and what wolf you are choosing to feed. And, when you practice gratitude, oh my gosh, that has really helped me on the journey to practice gratitude. Each day writing down things that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for you being here with me on this Friday, this Friday, to celebrate life, to celebrate which wolf are we choosing? Are we choosing the negative wolf? Are we choosing the positive wolf? And that's that's gratitude for today, because I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know if I'm guaranteed to be here tomorrow. I know I can't go back and change yesterday. All I can do is work on who I am today, right? And so when you practice gratitude, the simple act can literally shift your focus. It can, what's lacking in your life to what's abundant in your life. I have a cup of coffee this morning. I had clean drinking water. I had a fresh shower. I have a roof over my head. There's a lot to be thankful for. Some people in other parts of the world would say that I'm living like a king because of the blessings of my surrounding. When they are worrying where their next meal is going to come from, can they get a warm night's sleep in a bed, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do to practice gratitude that will shift your focus. And when you shift your focus, you shift your energy, because I believe that your focus determines your reality. That's my own personal belief. You can choose to guide yourself on that and join me on this journey, which I hope you'll do. You guys want to see here's something I'm grateful for. My new mug. Is this not badass or what? Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I follow Star Wars. I grew up with Star Wars. I was 5 years old when it came out in '77. But isn't this just the cat's ass? This is cool. So I'm grateful for this. But when you're grateful, it also feeds the positive wolf, and it also encourages a more optimistic outlook. And with our world that we're living in, I need as much optimism and outlook that I can get, because I wake up each day to it. And I also feed the negative wolf a little bit and go, okay, what's been done today? What's been said today? What actions have been taken today? Or do we still have a world to wake up to? That's the negative wolf, right? And that's just the reality of human and the balance of which you choose which wolf to feed, the positive wolf or the negative wolf. Challenging negative thoughts. This is a good one that I wrote down. Is when you're challenging negative thoughts, when you catch yourself in a negative thought cycle, which it's easy to do, misery loves company, that's where that saying comes from. Challenge those thoughts by asking this: is this thought based on facts or assumptions? Is this thought based on actions or assumptions? What evidence do I have for and against this thought? Right? Interesting, right? Like, okay. One of the things that I love to do, and I was just actually sharing this with a client and a student the other day, is to label your feelings, how to process your feelings and emotions, because it's easy to get stimulated and triggered based on the different variance mechanisms of what's coming in: television, media, social media, news outlets, right? And so what I do is I pause, I take a moment to acknowledge what I'm feeling. So right now, I'm acknowledging how I'm feeling. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling connected. I'm in my community. I'm talking with you. And so what I'll do next is I'll name that emotion. I'll name that emotion inspiration, being alive. And what you can do is you identify it and you can label the emotion. And it can also be anger and sadness and joy. It's whatever you want it to be. So pause, name it. Then I'm going to feel it. What does this feel like today to be with you and community? It feels great. It feels inspirational. It gives me a sense of gratitude. But when you feel it, you can sit with the emotion without judgment or expression. And you're like, oh, I just feel it. And then you can say, why am I feeling this way? So explore what the trigger was or why it matters to you. Then, of course, you can release it. And then you can shift. And when you shift, you redirect your energy towards something constructive or caring or the positive wolf. So pause, name it, feel it, ask why, release it, shift it, right? And so that's what I find to be, working with the gratitude and then challenging those negative thoughts, because we have on average about 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day that transforms through osmosis through this. These are called the temples, the third eye, right? So we process a lot of information. The question becomes, what thoughts are you tuning into the most? And are you thinking the same thoughts over and over again? Or are you always having different thoughts and challenging your thoughts? So, that's where we call it mindfulness, and challenge those negative thoughts. And again, is the thought based on facts or assumptions, our own cognitive bias? Because we do have cognitive bias. I have, today I can be very biased based on murder, or, seeing that young lady that was murdered in Minneapolis. It's just, there's triggers there. So I have to okay, what are the facts or what are the assumptions? What's my own biasms? And then of course, what evidence do I have for and against this thought? So like the young lady that was murdered by ICE, I saw what happened with my own eyes. People can have different narratives and different stories about what they thought happened. But then I make the decision and say, well, can I be mad at what's the process? Yes, it's horrible. But then can I also then move to compassion and caring for what that family is now going through, because I know what it's like to be on the other side of having a family member murdered. Now it's a much bigger picture because it's tied to television, it's tied to politics, it's tied to this administration. So that's something that I had to work through this last week, because it triggered me, because I am a victim of violent crime with my brother being murdered, right? But then it helps me to process the emotions and, like I said, pause, name it, feel it, ask why, release it, and shift my perspective. And by doing that, then I could then release that and move forward. And that's challenging your negative thoughts and your own biasms. Set intentions. Ask at the beginning of each day to set an intention that aligns with feeding what wolf you choose to feed, whether it's the negative wolf or the positive wolf. This could be, today I practice kindness. Today I will practice embracing challenges or opportunities for learning. I never buy into failure anymore. I used to. I used to strive to be a perfectionist in everything that I did. Now I don't let perfection be the enemy of good. And I don't let failure stop me, because failure used to stop me stone cold. Failure is first attempt in learning. Break that to an acronym. So instead of I failed, draw a line through that, and circle I learned. I learned today, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn. And are we going to make mistakes along the way? Hell yeah. You're going to fail many times. And I challenge you, if you're in my development group, my collective, I challenge you to fail. But to acknowledge that, have mindfulness to be like, okay, I fall 7 times, as a Japanese proverb reminds us, stand up 8. We have to continue to stand up. And some people just get so decimated by life that they just give up. That free will, that will to live, that will to find the good in the day. I'm not saying it's easy, but today, I always end my shows with be kind, caring, compassionate, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, discover the diamond within, and discover the many hidden gems that are all around us. And you can do that through life on the planet, through nature, through other people, because people are portals. But set intentions, because I personally believe that intentions, energy follows your intentions, and what you visualize and intend will then start to manifest into your own reality. So back to the boy's realization of when he heard this story. As the boy listened, he realized that his struggles were not merely external, but rooted in his own choices. He began to apply the old man's wisdom, reflecting on his thoughts, practice, gratitude, and surrounding himself with positivity. Days turned into weeks, and soon he noticed a change. The more he focused on the positive wolf, the more joy and kindness he felt within. He understood that its continuous journey and awareness was the key to nurturing the right wolf. Awareness is the greatest agent for change. Awareness. And again, don't fear the dark. As an alchemist, don't fear the dark. Study it, because that's where you'll find yourself in that. In time, the boy became a beacon of positivity in the village, inspiring others to reflect on their own inner battles. The story of the two wolves serves as a reminder that we all possess the power to choose which wolf to feed, shaping our lives and the world around us. As you navigate your own journey, remember the wolf you feed determines the life you lead. Which wolf will you choose to nourish today? And that all began with a bottle of wine pulled from my cellar, and then seeing the pattern 3 times and understanding the language of spirit. They knew that this week was coming up for me. It's always a hard week. The reminder, the triggers, the self-reflection, the journaling, the grieving, the survivor's guilt. These are all real things. And so it was a reminder to me at last Sunday of the wolves and which wolves we feed that I'm sharing with you today. So if you have any thoughts or questions or perspective, please put them in the comments. I'd love to read them out. Kara says, love the synchronicity. Yeah, I love, again, coincidences and synchronicities. Einstein talked about this all the time. God's way of remaining anonymous. And like I said, for me, it's a reminder, like that cloak behind me, my poncho that I wear in my plant medicine ceremonies. I've thrown it up over a hook, or actually it's hanging over my thermostat for the studio. And then I put a hat, but it gives it form. That's what like God is. See the light shining on it? God is whatever we want to put over something that's not seen to give it form. And then we call that God, right? So, if you have a perspective, I'd love to hear from you. We're going to do just a quick meditation. Just sit with the two wolves and give you the perspective and the action, give you the inspiration and action to identify which wolf are you feeding? Which wolf is, in your journey today? So let me cue this up here real quick. I've got a nice mindfulness meditation. It's only just a few minutes. And during the meditation, if you have some questions, and again, if you're one of the followers, one of the subscribers, post a question and I'll definitely answer your question as best I can. Let's see here. Where's my mindfulness? There we go. And again, all of the music I use and all the videos I use are always copyright trademark free. These are approved through Meta, or I get a lot of my stuff from Storyblocks. So we'll get that queued up here. Just give me 1 second. So I think you'll find this this meditation very helpful. It's very simple. I'm just going to loop it. Maybe. Well, okay. Does not want to loop for me. First. Well, maybe we're not doing this today. I can usually loop it. For some reason, it doesn't want to loop for me. Huh. Okay, let me. I wonder if it's because I've already got a video feed going. I wonder if that's why it's not looping. Well, what I can do is I can just self loop it, which is that'll work fine. Okay, so take a deep breath. Let's move into just that present moment that I talked about. And this meditation is based off what wolf are you feeding? What wolf are you choosing to feed? And I'll just set up one of my meditation songs here for you. Let's do an earth meditation. Oh, let's do forest and digital. Let's see how that sounds. Let's see. So it's about 3 minutes or so. So what I'll do is I'll try to loop the video best I can and then go from there. But just enjoy this short mindfulness meditation. And it's really just focused in on what wolf are you choosing to feed? The negative wolf or the positive wolf? Enjoy. Which wolf are you feeding? 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 which wolf are you feeding today? And of course, now I always like to, anytime there's a wolf, my wife and I have been doing this for years, we just give a little howl. Oh, you can give a little howl back wherever you're at in the world, just to say hi. My apologies, I couldn't get the video. It was stuck in a it was stuck. It wouldn't loop. It wouldn't even play. So sometimes you have to work through the technology, gremlin. So I apologize. Maybe next week I can do that. And try it again. Make sure. I queue it up and I practice, before I go live, and then I go to do it, and it doesn't work. So obviously something else. So any questions for me? Go ahead and I'll open up to Q&A, especially if you're a subscriber. Again, I'm looking for your badge next to your name, follower, subscriber. If you're part of my Patreon prospectors, I'll know who you are. Again, that link is on the field in the comment sections up above. And again, there's two formats now of working with me through my Patreon prospectors. And let's see here. We're growing. We have 16 over on Patreon, and we have 6 in the Diamonds Hub, which Diamonds Hub is exclusively, if you're through the Facebook platform, that's just through Facebook. But just remember, the first Friday of every month is Diamonds Days, Q&A. I have 2 time zones, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because I'm in Seattle, but it reaches both audience, both international and domestic. And so I don't see any of the Patreons on today. I don't recognize any of the names, but if you are Patreon, please let me know. If you're a free subscriber, I'll still give you a reading, because I have free subscribers and I have paid subscribers through Patreon, but then Diamonds Hub is paid only. So any questions for me? Hello, my friend from across the big pond. How the heck are you? I'm doing great. A lot of transformations, Miss C, a lot of healing, a lot of ascensions. A lot of changes in the last 18 months, especially just full transformation, weight loss, healing, going deeper down the rabbit hole, but I'm doing good. How are you, my friend? All right. If you have any questions for me, you can come into I'll put the Zoom room link if you want to come in. Let me know, and I'll put the Zoom room link in, or you can give me a call on my business line. That number is 206-588-0661. That is my business line. If you want to chat on the phone, make sure that the volume is up. I'll put those in the comment sections here. Just do a participants invite link. Go. Or put something in the comments sections if you want. Love to just talk with you. Which wolf did that meditation help you to decide to do? Maybe it didn't, and that's okay too. So there's the Zoom link, business line. Business lines on there. Again, you can learn everything you need to at marclainhart.com. The Zoom links out. So I'll just stay on for just a few minutes here, and then I've got another meeting to get to. We're planning a trip for my spiritual collective to the Joshua Tree in the fall of this year. So we're actually going to get together for the first time, because a lot of times we meet online, and some people have been in the tribe collective for 10 years with me, and we've never really met in person. So we're gonna try to have a 3-day event in the Joshua Tree. That's where it was between Mount Shasta and the Joshua Tree, and the majority chose the Joshua Tree, which is a magical area in California, about 45 minutes outside of Palm Springs. And then I'm sure we'll cross Shasta at some point, another place that we want to go to. But yeah, so we're going to be planning that this afternoon, so I'm excited for that. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Let's see, I always have something for you. What's going on? I got dowsing rods today. You can even do a dowsing rod. Have you guys ever worked with dowsing rods? These are fabulous for energy and finding water resources. I actually had a client that we just used the other day, so they can actually visually see with them for themselves how um, dowsing rods work. So I get the dowsing rods, and the dowsing rod is different for everybody. But for me, when they open like a Y, that's a yes. If they cross like a big X, that's a no. Um, but I haven't asked him anything. But you can see, and I'm not manipulating him. I lock my elbows in, so there's no motions to the rods. It's all just based. It's based on energy. So yeah, so we got dowsing rods. We've got books. I forgot to put my EMF meter up, which measures energy and frequency and vibration. I usually have it sitting right here for my shows, but I forgot because I was in a meeting, so I took it down because people are like, "What is that? Why is that? Why is that box right here?" A lot of times I'll actually see fluctuations, or I'll see the spirit world not straight on with my physical eye. Most people won't. You'll catch something out of your peripheral, but by the time you gauge at it straight on, it's gone, right? It's a fast vibration. Same things with, seeing orbs, or, people ask me all the time as a medium, have you ever seen dead people? And I'm like, yeah, but it's very rare. As mediums, we either see them objectively or subjectively. So if I'm seeing them objectively, I actually see them. And then even when you see it and when it's happening, the ego mind is so powerful. Goes, am I really seeing that? So I'd say probably in the thousands of readings I've done over the last 2 decades, um, maybe 10 times that I've actually seen the actual objective, uh, you know, either beforehand, during, or after. And then the rest of them are subjectively through here, right? That's how they communicate. But the EMF meter will register, like I love it when I'm in the collective and we'll be in a deep meditation and this thing will be just going crazy. This light, I'll show you again so you can kind of see it when it lights up. See the light, how it lights? Now I'm holding the button. I'm manipulating that, right? That's not the actual true energy. When you turn on, that's what you can see. But this thing will light up at certain points of the time. And my couch and nothing, like even just having it next to my finger piano here, the metal doesn't register on here. That's why I keep it here. But many times I'll be talking in a session with a client or my collective, and I'll catch it. I'll be like, you guys see that? Or people will see orbs that will fly towards the camera. They come in. It's not like a fluttering bug. It'll be this orb of energy, like a ball that comes right into off my shoulders, or people like, did you see that? Sometimes they see it, I don't. But that's just kind of the way I describe that is like, if you ever looked into a fish aquarium and you're watching the fish, right? It's kind of the same thing of the spirit world looking at us. And so if you actually ever capture an orb, which we've done many times on camera and video, we've paused it and actually have blown up one of the orbs, and it does. It looks like a face looking in, but the face is kind of distorted because it's in a round. And if you think about it dimensionally, they're coming from a fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional construct into our third dimensional construct. So that not everything is going to be seen the way that we think, and it can be scary because the face can be stretched out. But we've done that in some of our paranormal investigations, some of our other exercises we've done, and then you catch an orb and then you kind of blow it up and it looks like different faces sometimes. Not all the time, but it's a fascinating, that our technology can capture this. And our technology, as it continues to progress, especially with AI right around the corner, AI is I just did a podcast on this if you want to check it out. AI is the next tipping point, just like electricity was at the turn of the century, when we moved from, gas and oil-based lighting, candles, oil-based. I'm thinking, I think it was 1902 is when they actually lit the first city block of Chicago in the World's Fair using, I can't remember if they were using alternate current or AC or DC, direct current or alternate current, because there was a battle about what current you're going to use. So you had, Edison versus Tesla, and they were actually battling, are you going to use AC versus direct current, which is safer for the society? But we now jump to today, 12600 1902, 2002 is 100. So about 122 years later, we can see the world from space. We've lit up. You can see the continents lit up based on electricity. That's what one guru has talked about, that the AI is the next tipping point of consciousness of like electricity is for us. Because think about it, you and I wouldn't be connecting right now without electricity, right? There would be no any of this, right? That's what AI is going to be. So I personally believe in the future there's going to be more tools that's going to allow us to connect multidimensionally, or the spiritual evolution of consciousness, of the brain, what we think of death and dying. That I personally believe that's going to all evolve over the next 20 to 30 years. And I said that this would be our roaring 20s of transformation. You can go back in my articles, my podcast, I talked about several things, including civil war, rebellion, revolution here in the United States, the world looking completely different during our roaring 20s, learning that we're not alone in our roaring 20s, extra dimensional beings, aliens, UFOs, ETs, whatever you want to call them, little Grogus. And we're already, that drip is continuously coming out. We're now 70% of the population does believe that we're not alone in the universe, on our planet, deep in our oceans, deep in our earth. And I also said that we'd have a great coming together, whether that was triggered by, an earth event like a super volcano or a tsunami or an extra dimensional ship showing up. That changes everything, right? But I said I can see this great coming together as well. And so the roaring 20s are going to continue to be transformative. And sometimes you feel like there's a step back, but we progress nonetheless. And if you have any other questions for me, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed that brief meditation about what wolf you are feeding. Thank you to the Spirit World to give me that inspiration and that insight. Just in my own reminder, which wolf am I feeding based on a bottle of wine that I pulled last Sunday, 2 wolves to go see, Neil Diamond, who starts off with therapy about which wolf you're feeding, only to go home and see on our screen 2 wolves walking in the winter. And I was like, that's a great show for Friday. That's a great metaphysical meetup show for Friday with the Intuitive Prospector. So I hope you enjoyed the tips, things of, reminders of which wolf are you feeding today. So if you don't have any more questions for me, thanks for tuning in. I will see you next Friday. We will be back on Wednesday with another live episode of Inspired Living. Again, you can get Inspired Living wherever you listen to your favorite podcast now. You're not going to want to miss this guest. He's a returning guest. He's well known. John, he does great work, and I'm excited to talk to him again. It's been a few seasons since he's been on the first time, so it's nice to have a returning guest come on and share their wisdom and their knowledge and experiences of life with us. So my phone's not ringing. Nobody's coming into the Zoom room, so I will take that as a thank you for today. I'm grateful for you. That's a wolf I'm feeding, is the positive wolf. Grateful for our time together, our communications. Go out and keep inspiring the world. Be the vibration. Be the change you want to see in this world. I know the world is crazy and there's a lot going on, but your greatest power while you're here is how you choose to respond to stuff and how you choose not to respond to stuff. So love to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Beautiful message as well, Kara, saying trying to stay warm in the Midwest. Yeah, thank you for that, Kara, because there's a huge historic storm that's hitting. So that means there's going to be loss of life. There's going to be loss of electricity. There's a lot of things that we can be grateful for, like electricity, like warmth in a warm home, right? Because Mother Nature is the landlord. We are the tenant. And I think we're going to be reminded of that over this next decade, about how we're tenants here and that Mother Earth can change her mind at any time. So, all right. So no other messages. Stay safe, stay warm wherever you're at in the world. Stay positive. Feed that positive wolf. And I'll see you next time here on Metaphysical Meetup with the Intuitive Prospector. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart. You can learn more about me at marclainhart.com, or just you can even just type in the Intuitive Prospector and that will come up as well. So Miss C says, we had terrible weather here too. Yeah, but you guys always have terrible weather over there. I'm just kidding. Yeah, South of Brass here on the East Coast as well. Be safe, my friends. And again, find the good in the day. Always focus on the good that's coming our way. Even if it's bad weather, we can focus on what can be good about bad weather, right? So, but I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next Friday for another episode, and then I'll be on the air Wednesday if you want to check out the live podcast. And if you can't make the live podcast, because you can listen to the show from anywhere around the globe on any device, there's no password, there's no username, there's no membership fee, there's no BS. And if you missed the live broadcast, you can always catch it on the encore on presentation on any of the platforms that we are streaming through, which are pretty much all of them now. So I will see you next time. I'm going to get some more coffee and get ready for my meeting on Joshua Tree 2026. The snake cleared the way. Now we're in the year of the horse. The horse leads the way. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Just to remember, which wolf are you feeding? The positive wolf or the negative wolf? And we'll see you next time here on Metaphysical Meetup. Until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. Discover the diamond within and and discover the many hidden gems that are all around us. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.